Hello and welcome to today's episode of Two Pigs in a Pod, a podcast for the people of Glazing by the people of Glazing. I'm your host, George, and today's guest is Steve Hutchinson of Sobinco. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Good afternoon, George, and good to be here. It's nice to make the transition from being a star in the sty and welcoming you into my sty.
Exactly. It's the next part of the pig's life is star in the sty followed by podcast guest.
Yeah.
How are you anyway? Are you all good?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good. Yeah. It's challenging times, but we've been there before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we know how to get out of it. So yeah, fingers crossed for the industry. But yeah, so we'll get cracking on with the first question of who are you and what do you do within our industry?
Okay, so I'm Steve Hutchinson. Been in the window and door industry now for about 23, 24 years.
Nice.
Currently, I'm general manager for Sobinco, who are a Belgian-based hardware manufacturer.
Yep.
And I have responsibility for UK and Ireland for our commercial operations, and I'm working alongside colleagues in supporting systems houses and fabricators. So day to day is trying to support them, getting more of our products into more of our customers, opening up new opportunities for new products, and driving the business forward.
Nice. Okay. And for those that don't know who Sobinco is, can you give us a sort of brief overview of sort of who they are and what they do?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting one because it catches a lot of people out and they're quite surprised when they hear about Sobinco and who and what we are. So Sobinco is a Belgian-based hardware manufacturer, window and door hardware manufacturing, only for the aluminium industry though. We don't do anything for PVC, with the exception of some timber where people still use some of our pivots. And everything we manufacture we're vertically integrated. So when you take one of our handles apart, you'll see nylon roses, springs, and screws. If you come around our factory, you'll see all of those components being manufactured in-house. We make our own tools, our own dies. So we're fully self-sufficient in everything that we do, and everything is made, manufactured, and assembled in Belgium. We're a family-owned business. It's owned by the four brothers. From the Van Paris family. So we have Christophe, Renard, Harold, and Manu are the four brothers that oversee that. Then there's a board that sits beneath them of company directors. We turn over around about 78 million, all out of there, and export to 60 different countries across Europe. And one of our fastest growing export markets is China, where we have 3 offices in China, a team of 27 people. For the products for the Chinese market, we still manufacture those in Belgium, and everything's shipped from there. And then there's a sister company within the group, STA, which is based in Porto, which operates with a different range of products under different branding, and that sells into Southern Europe and North Africa and those markets.
Nice.
We're quite a well-kept secret in some ways. We keep our had been beneath the parapet a little bit too much.
Yeah, well, I mean, you say that, but then we ran the news last year about the brand new campus opening in Belgium, which was pretty impressive for my eyes, and I'm sure people that read the story at the back end was pretty impressed as well. How did it feel to be for it to open and to obviously be part of that?
It was fantastic, really, because it represents a huge investment by the family.
Yeah.
That building that we've put in, it's a series of buildings actually, and they're all connected. And when you look at them from above, they're actually designed to look like a hinge, so it looks like it should open and close as a hinge. But that was around about a £30 million investment by the family.
Yeah.
And it took a couple of years to build, as you would expect. But that gives us state-of-the-art R&D, manufacturing facilities. We've launched a new window hardware range called Cosmo, so that's going to be significant for us moving forward in terms of growth. So we're future-proofing what we've got there.
Yeah.
And we held a series of open days at the end of last year for systems companies who came from all over Europe and the rest of the world to come and visit, and showcased everything that we have. And then there was fantastic live entertainment and drinks and dancing, etc. on for systems companies, fabricators, and then that was followed up with a family event where myself and my wife and all our colleagues all went to Belgium for a weekend and experienced the same. And everybody that went round was genuinely aghast at what the business entails and the size and scale of it.
Yeah.
And to see everything in one place and the level of detail and investment, it was a very proud moment, actually. Yeah, it it really made you feel proud to be part of the business and part of the team.
Yeah, and does that make your job easier, I guess, to have state of the art, a brand new campus, or does it add a bit of pressure that obviously there's a massive investment for a new facility like any, but so it adds a bit of, or is it both? You get the benefits of brand new stuff to and things to have good conversations with people, but also the pressure of obviously it's an investment, so it has to work.
Absolutely, and you're quite right. It is a mixture of the two, as you would expect. With that, there's some anticipated growth. But the great thing about the way the brothers run Sobinco is that they won't compromise the service and quality levels. So levels for growth are as you would expect to be challenging,
Yeah,
but they're not unrealistic
yeah,
and unachievable. And they're at a level whereby achieving those means that we can deliver that growth as
yeah,
well, as opposed to saying we want X level of growth and then thing that falls over is your customer service, your quality, and things fall apart, and you've
yeah,
got the growth, but at what cost? So they take a very pragmatic view
yeah,
and play very much a long term view, which is nice when you're privately owned instead of VC owned, where somebody wants a quick return and say we've paid this, we want it back in 4 years,
yeah,
and you get the turnover, but it's all falling away underneath.
yeah,
So yeah, it's good. In terms of launching the new products, it means that we can launch new products off new machinery, invested heavily in robotics to
nice,
deliver that growth. We just want to use it more as a showroom to get people around,
yeah,
because once people have been, they
yeah,
realise, and it's only an hour and a half to the side of the channel. So in
yeah.
terms of distance, it's still very close to us. I've got customers in the southeast that are closer to my head office than I am to them as a customer. So
Yeah. Yeah, nice. And taking it back to you, how did you start in the industry? Like you said, you've been in it a while now. So, yeah, what was your sort of entry into our sector?
I was looking in the wrong direction and somebody pulled me
So,
into the industry. What's that?
yeah,
Windows. Oh, that's computers, is it? No. Um, so it was an approach out of the blue. I'd previously been involved in the fire protection industry with British Gypsum
okay,
on specification and technical sales on that side of things. And I was relocated in the country, and this offer that came in, and it fitted at that time to where I was relocated
yeah,
in the country. So that was it. It was, to use my favourite word, it was serendipity. It was a happy accident, and so
nice.
it was a nice move.
Nice. And when you was in it, what was your sort of first impressions of it? Was it that different to what you'd come from at British Gypsum, or was it kind of actually because a lot of people we say it on here quite often are the window and door sector is quite unique in terms of various different things, but maybe in terms of the people relationships like you see at PiGs and I see at PiGs
Yeah,
is yeah. Do you feel it was quite different when you first entered it?
it was like coming to the Wild West. It was like, what the hell is this? Uh, but because coming from the sector I'd come from was heavily regulated, heavily specified, and heavily regulated. It was fire protection. You get it wrong, people die. So to come into and it was mainly main contractors and large contractors we were working with, as opposed to moving into an environment where it had lots of SMEs and independent traders. So a very, very different landscape. But in that it was the Wild West. But what it did kick out was it was fun, and it was lots of people just trying to do the best that they can and seeing opportunities, and lots of entrepreneurs trying to build and take opportunities. And it was a real good feel good factor about the industry.
Nice. And do you feel like you brought something from that regulated industry where it's very strict, where you actually, there was where like I said, it was a bit of a wild west, but you actually because you had been in a different kind of area where it's a lot more strict, that you actually brought some of that over to the role.
Yeah, because I like to play by the rules.
Yeah,
I know the rules, and sometimes we'll push some of them, but not to break them. We'll find the boundaries of them, we'll work within the boundaries, and,
yeah,
and, and stay loyal to the rules and deliver what should be delivered. But I do think that's something that I try to do as a regulation, and make sure when we're looking at something, or when a client is looking at something, making sure that they're looking at two red apples and not a red apple and a green apple.
yeah,
So that detail of looking into a specification when somebody states a product performs to this, okay, let's look into the product itself. Is it really that? Have you got a red apple and green apple, or is one of them a banana?
yeah.
And so it taught that, and that's been a useful thing through the years of looking at specifications when they come in. It's actually that's not
Yeah.
what they want, and that's that. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. And did you realize early that it was the glazing sector was for you, that you saw yourself in it long term, or was there a moment that kind of across your career that you realized, yeah, actually, I quite like it here.
It was a it wasn't a light bulb moment. It was more a process of osmosis. You suddenly feel that it's got under your skin, and
Yeah, yeah, you can't get out.
you can pass it. Yeah, and I tried to get out of it once, and in 2008 it bit me on the bum. So I came back into it. You get to the top of this vortex, and it's spinning out. You're coming back in, and so accept your fate
Yeah,
once you're in this
exactly.
industry. Because the faster you accept your fate, the more you'll enjoy it. But it's a great industry,
Yeah.
and yeah, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, nice. And speaking of that, up to the top of the vortex, what was your career progression looked like? You said you started off, 20 odd years ago. So how have you worked your way
So,
to now be at Sobinco?
so I started out as a blast from the past name was the British Home Door Group, BHD,
Yeah,
over in Walsall as an area sales manager. Um, so working there with trade customers and trade sales on that side of things, and then progressed to Northern Field Sales Director for Anglian Building Products
yeah,
on the commercial side of things, working with local authorities, main contractors, delivering the decent homes projects
okay,
that had to be done. So then there was a huge period of growth for the window and door
yeah,
industry. Then promoted to National Field Sales Director for Anglian Building Products. Moved to timber. I've always fancied working timber because it's a living, breathing product, and
yeah,
you can create far more shapes with it. Joined a company called Westport.
yeah,
Westport was still a privately owned business. We took that from £3 to £11.5 million turnover in 2.5 years. So some quite astronomical growth, but took it from private ownership to becoming part of the VKR group, who own Velfac, Rationale, and De Vista. So that was quite an exciting time. And then heading up the UK operations for Weru, Germany, over here, and then progressed to sales and marketing director at Bennett Architectural, and then on to Sobinco. So it's been a great journey because it's taken me from the trade sales to some really state-of-the-art projects with facade and curtain walling. So
yeah.
a real broad spectrum of the products in the industry.
Yeah, you feel like you've got a good understanding of pretty much near enough all of our what we where windows and doors go to within our sector, with especially different materials like you said with aluminium and timber before that, but also working on housing and things. It's a very
Yeah,
varied career you've had.
yeah, and even go back to like the times at British Chips, it was construction. I take an interest in construction, so then later seeing the interface of those products into that building and how those products come together, it's really quite an interesting thing, and helps you think a little bit different. How can we deliver something differently? Can we design it differently to make it work better with that interface instead of just looking at the status quo?
Nice. And has there been any people, throughout your career that you've sort of really helped you, maybe at the start, or has there been any sort of like mentors that you've had that have really sort of, got you to where you are now? Or like you say, you've had a very varied career, and then I'm sure must have been a good few people, probably too many to mention on one podcast episode. But
Yeah,
is there any sort of one or two that really stands out?
Yeah, I've picked a couple of names. One was going back right to the start with Anglian. Chap by the name of Steve Lawrence. Steve was divisional director at Anglian. And at the time when I joined in the north, there was a southern chap by the name of John Park Davis. You probably know, and John's quite well known in the industry. And John and I worked together there, north and south. And Steve threw both of us into the bear pit, really, because it was the commercial side of things, but they still had a hangover to Anglian's retail. So sales were declared on a weekly basis on a Tuesday. We had a annual sales target of 45 million. So we needed around about £900,000 of the sales every Tuesday. So we'd alternate going into the office in Norwich, and you'd go in some days and you have £100,000 of orders. And you go, well, we've got to find £800,000 of the sales in a day. All the days you go in, there was 900,000 in there. Go sit back, have a cup of coffee, nice and relaxed. But it taught us valuable lessons because Steve gave us the guidance of what to go and making sure where we chase orders down. And it made sure as the sales team that they knew what's happening every Tuesday. So get something on the table, chase your orders down, chase your projects, where up to, get updates. And then more recently, over the last 5 or 6 years, I would have to say is our group sales director within Sobinco, a lady by the name of Lisbeth de Graaf. And Lisbeth's been instrumental in giving us the support and the resources that we need to transition our route to market in the UK. And the fact, she deals very heavily with a lot of the headquarters of the systems companies operate here in the UK. The very now UK's Alupos people. She works closely with those, so that gives us a very good insight into the UK and what's happening, and get head office feedback. So makes us more customer centric as a business. And she's actually, she's fun to work with and to work for. So
Nice. And do we spoke about pigs, and obviously I see you regularly at pigs, but over the years, those relationships that you've built, do you think that that's integral to why you've stayed in the industry for so long and been a success in the industry as well?
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Relationships matter, and I think it's it's a very tight knit industry.
Yeah.
I won't call it incestuous, but
Yeah.
it is very tight knit. And don't fall out with anybody, because you never know when when your paths will cross again, but
Yeah.
B, just when you might want some help and advice from somebody.
Absolutely.
Over the years, there's been plenty of people I've lent and just, what do you think about this? How do you think we could do this? Or have you got some different ideas?
Yeah.
And come up with a different perspective. So I think so, because they understand your market in depth.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's great, and that's why the pigs is great, because it gives you that time just to connect with people you've not seen for a few years. You might be messaged or
Yeah.
emailed every now and then, but to actually join them and have a handshake and a beer is nice.
Yeah, nice. And looking back at your career, has there been any sort of standout projects or things that you've been part of that you've gone, wow, that's really what an amazing thing to be part of?
Yeah, a couple of it to spread across. So go back to the Anglian times. That was probably secured one of the largest contracts I've ever been involved in, which was a 6 year framework agreement with the Glasgow Housing Association worth 42 million over 6 years. And that one sticks, and my wife reminds me of it constantly, because I was doing all the final negotiation because there'd been some hiccups on technical things, which was a valuable learning lesson as well, separately. But that was on. We were driving up to Scotland to get married. It was the day before our wedding, so I spent most of the time on the phone sorting out this contract to get it finalised, to get it done. So that one sticks. And then, I think the growth we saw at Westport and turning it from privately owned to part of a world-renowned group was quite proud. And then latterly, some nice facade projects with Bennett Architectural City Labs in Manchester, which some people will know, which was a real technically challenging project. And being involved in the development and design of the new, a couple of years old, the Holiday Inn and the Ibis that stand side by side at Terminal 2 at Manchester Airport. So working on those and seeing those things come together is nice when you actually see something you've worked on.
Nice. And is
But
there anything upcoming that you think for Sobinco, that you think you're really sort of excited to be a part of?
yeah, I mean, that's got to be our new hardware system, Cosmo.
Yeah.
It's a new tilt turn hardware system. We launched it about last year. It's starting to roll out now through various systems companies.
Yeah.
And I know people say it, but it is a game changer in terms of how it operates in number of component parts. There's now no difference between a tilt turn or a turn tilt. It's changed one screw position, one tilt,
Yeah.
one block, and you can switch to it even after installation. And it's modular and easy to use. So I think once that starts hit the market, when we've already shown it to fabricators and system companies, everyone's like, that's different.
Nice.
That's something different. So yeah, it's an exciting time, because that's really going to be something that's going to move us forward, I think, and pick us up more on people's radars.
Nice. And like you said, that obviously Sobinco is evolving and with new products. But how do you feel the industry has changed over the time that you've been in it? Does it feel completely different to when you started? Obviously, you've got a lot more experience now, so
Yeah.
it will be different. But do you feel like the industry generally is changing, or it has changed?
Yes, yeah, I think it has, and I think there are a few aspects to that. I think we're now thankfully starting to see that, because of the hard work that everyone's done with the industry in upping their games in terms of quality and
Yeah.
what's required across all products. That means that now, thankfully, windows aren't just seen as a hotel lighting; they're seen as a key part of the design fabric of a building, and
Yeah.
how they can enhance the performance, and help the building breathe and help people have a pleasant experience in the building. But then from the development, particularly from the aluminium side, what that can do allows designers and architects to create statement pieces of something. So, I think we've seen some fantastic glass facades and buildings going up and down the country
Yeah.
and around the world that a few years ago you just couldn't have imagined. And I think that's a huge change. More legislation is coming in. We're going
Yeah,
the right way. I still don't think we're there. Just to create level playing fields and
yeah,
make it so people can't shortcut and circumvent issues. But I think they're the big changes I think that we've seen. A lot of consolidation as well over the years
yeah,
of fabricators moving because of the cost of fabrication. So seeing that, and the last few years more European systems houses come into play in our back garden
yeah.
with different strategies and different offerings. So yeah, that makes things challenging, keeps it fresh, but it means everyone's got to keep evolving because somebody comes in with a different smart, but okay, we've not quite got that. We need to
Yeah,
move fast. I
yeah.
think things are definitely happening quicker.
Nice. And speaking of that evolving and that evolution, what does Sobinco look like over the next few years? Do you see yourself, like you said right at the start, of being a more well known in both in the UK and in mainland Europe, or is there more to it than that?
No, I think over the last few years we changed our route to market, and so the last couple of years has really been building our relationship, direct relationships with customers, where we were at arm's length from a lot of our customers for a few years because we were through a third party distribution channel, and so having that direct contact has helped us to tweak and change some products so that they are specific for the UK market instead of just a generic European product. And I think what we'd like to see over the coming years is us becoming recognised for being an innovative, vibrant business that's first and foremost. Sobinco sees itself as an engineering company that makes hardware, but only for the aluminum industry. So it means that when somebody comes to us with a different idea, we can go away, take it, look at it quickly, and come back with an answer. And then with that European perspective, we can look at group numbers. Actually, it's relatively small for the UK or for Belgium or for the Netherlands or wherever we may be. But if we bring it collectively, we can engineer and make something specific for someone. So it means our customers have more freedom of scope for their designs and can come to us. Can we make this change? Can we do this? So I think that's what I'd like to see over the next few years is that evolving and growing and us being recognised as that partner of choice wherever we can be possible.
Nice. And what about yourself? What does your role look like over the next? What's your sort of on your to do list over the next sort of year or so?
Um, Hard work, challenging, and fun. But that's been the same for the last 20 odd years. I think I think delivering the topics we've discussed about and bringing that and making those things happen. Work alongside. I've just got some new technical support in the UK. Matt's super guy, been in the industry a long time. He's joined Sobinco relatively recently, so he's still finding his feet. But there's a synergy between us. It means that we're on the same page what we're doing, and we're both looking forward to driving that. We've set the bar quite high for ourselves. What we want to achieve. Um, I'm my own worst critic. In all honesty,
Best way to be, I think.
yeah.
Nice. And if you could give back, like you say, you've had a sort of 20-25 year career in the industry now. What would you give to someone just starting out in their career, or early on in it? Is there any one piece of advice you'd give them?
Be honest. Don't be afraid to tell the truth, even if it's bad news.
Yeah,
Tell you because you've got a lot of SMEs, independent people relying on your promises that something's going to turn up on time so they
yeah,
can carry out their work and get paid. So don't tell them what you think they want to hear. Tell them the truth. They might be angry, but they can work around it. But whatever alternative you give them, make sure you deliver that.
yeah,
Accept we manufacture things, they install things, things will go wrong. Accept that. It's a fact. Anybody tells you differently,
yeah, yeah. That is
they've
exactly.
never manufactured. If someone tells different, they've never manufactured anything or they've never installed anything. Accept those truths. And if you're involved in sales, always try and put something on the table. Times might seem dark, but better times will come around. And whilst your region might be down, our colleagues might be up, and overall it balances. And there'll be times when you have to support them.
Yeah, and would you recommend our industry for like you said, someone coming from the wider construction industry into the glazing? Would you recommend it?
Absolutely. I think it's a fantastic industry. I think it's massively undervalued and hugely underrated by governments and training bodies.
Yeah,
I think the spectrum of roles that are within here are highly qualified people, design engineers, technicians across all areas. If you look at what it takes us to design a handle and get it there,
yeah,
if you do an evolution of man of all the engineers and technical people testing processes to get that handle that the public go, well, it's just a handle. No, it's not.
yeah,
That's what's behind it. So I think there's some fantastic opportunities.
yeah.
I've had a great time, and I continue to look forward to having a great time. And there are lots of people in this industry, so would recommend it, no hesitation to anyone.
Nice. And lastly, what keeps you motivated after all these years? You still seem full of love for the industry and love for your role. So yeah, what's the motivation still now?
I'll steal a line from the Marines. There's always one more thing you can do. We've done it right this year, but we can do it better next year, because your competitors will look at what you've done and try to outsmart you for the next year. So you've got to be one step ahead. So just go through a process of constant evolution.
Nice. Well, thanks very much, Steve. Yeah, so we're going to move on to our quick fire question round now. So it's
Okay.
just this or that, this or that, and yeah, whatever the
Okay.
first thing that comes to head. No overthinking. Yeah, easy stuff.
Right, okay.
So the first thing is, do you prefer innovation or tradition?
Innovation.
Nice. Are you an early starter or a late finisher, or probably both? Unknowing you.
Combination, but always an early starter.
Cool. Are you a coffee or a tea drinker?
Coffee in the morning, tea in the afternoon.
No. You want to be always on time or always prepared?
Always prepared, because if I'm prepared, I'm on time.
No. Yeah. Nice. Are you a risk taker or a risk manager?
Taker.
Listening or talking?
Listening.
Nice. Are you more hands-on or comfortable in stepping back?
Hands on.
Trying something new or perfecting what you know?
Something new. Combination is because you've got to perfect it. It's that evolution, perfecting, then try something new to make it better. So it's a it's a tricky one, that, George.
Yeah. Are you a sweet or a savoury person?
Savoury.
Staying in or going out?
These days, staying in, it's too expensive to go out.
I'm the same. And lastly, are you prefer a live sport or a live music?
Live music.
Yeah, nice. Well, thanks very much, Steve. So for the last part of our podcast episode is for guests to give a shout out to people. It can be, friends, family, people, industry, out industry. Yeah. So who are your shout out or shout outs for?
First and foremost, my wife Joanne, supporting me through all this and challenging and working away a lot, whether in Europe, in the UK, and staying away a lot. She's supported and done a fantastic job of bringing our daughter up, and I couldn't have done that without her. Um, Secondly, someone that I mentioned earlier, John Park Davis. We've been a constant with each other in the industry, bumped into each other many times. Sometimes that's influenced by wine. Um, and lastly, but certainly by no means least, Terry Ledwith. I've known Terry for around 10 years, and we always try to help each other out and have a good laugh and make working together fun.
Nice, perfect. Well, it's been great to finally get you on the podcast, Steve, and yeah, hearing obviously all about you and your and Sobinco, and yeah, I think it's been really interesting to hear all about it.
It's been an absolute pleasure, George, and it's been great to set yourself down memory lane and just reflect on some things you have done in the industry, because sometimes you forget what you've been through and what you've done. So it's been a really worthwhile exercise as well for me, just to flag some things up from the past.
Perfect. Well, yeah, thanks for joining us on Two Pigs in the Pod. And of course, thanks for everyone for listening. You can find this episode and all our previous ones on our website, www.peopleinglazing.co.uk, on our YouTube channel at People in Glazing Society, and available to download on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And whilst you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe to make sure you never miss an episode. So thanks again for Steve and for everyone for joining in, and see you for another episode soon.
Thanks, George.